July 27, 2025. A North Korean spearhead crosses the line. 60 T-90s, armored carriers, and thousands of infantry timing a blitz meant to shatter the front. 14 seconds later, it's over. Suicide drones detonate out of sequence. The lead T-90 hits an unseen pressure plate. The blast flips the hull, its turret hurled 50 feet into the air. Vehicles swerve into safe lanes, straight into layered mines. Radios choke, optics wash out, and the hunters realize they're already in a kill box. Operation Frost Hook was engineered to spring in seconds. Bait corridors, thermal triggers, and crossfires that turned mass into panic. Stay for the map replay and the single decision that doomed the column. 6:20 local time, satellite imagery catches the column rolling out of a captured Russian base in Donetsk. Battalion ordered ranks, tight spacing, steady march rate. The route overlay points toward the southeastern corridor. Hole codes, chevrons, and numbering follow DPRK parade patterns, not Russian motor rifle inventory. Crews wear black-on-olive armbands issued by Pyongyang for expeditionary contingents. At 0647, the intel report changes one word that shifts the board. Participant. Pyongyang crossed the line. For Moscow, just deniable theater. For NATO, a new live variable in the eastern flank calculus. The vanguard opens the way. 80 suicide drones, pre-programmed with corridors, altitude gates, and thermal triggers. They're there to rip lanes, force defenders to light up sensors, and confuse air defenses. Timing puts the swarm seconds ahead. Chaos compressed into advantage. 60 T-90s with dozer blades and SART skirts locked down for obstacle work. 40 troop carriers with assault teams primed to dismount. Air defense and logistics in trail. Pace starts conservative, then steps up, enough to keep the shock coherent without losing command control over distance. Manpower sets the scale. More than 800 assault infantry up front. Assault groups, sappers, AT teams, with thousands in follow-on echelons to exploit any rupture. Western analysts price the package at $370 million for armor, munitions, drones, and sustainment. A heavy figure for a sanctioned economy. This isn't an opportunistic raid. It's an integrated mechanized deployment, and Pyongyang's expeditionary debut on foreign soil. The intent is plain. Break lines before noon and project a message beyond the battlefield. But the plan rests on two assumptions the map can't show: that the vanguard would own the approaches, and that the routes were merely dangerous. Ukraine wasn't caught off guard. As the North Korean column entered the southeastern axis, the ground was already prepared for more than a tactical delay. 7 kilometers had been turned into a kill zone. Ordinary terrain at first glance, engineered to flip into chaos. For 17 consecutive nights, small teams worked irregular shifts with no detectable routine, discrete marks in the dark. Over 4,200 anti-tank mines were buried, not in uniform carpets, but in interlocking grids, irregular spacing, angles aligned to target migration paths, and column compression points. The design was reviewed by NATO combat engineers, not to increase quantity, but to validate precision, where each forced detonation would create maximum blockage with minimum waste. Layers were the secret. Belts of pressure plate mines covered likely routes. Oblique rows with seismic sensors watched for off-road maneuvers. Pockets with infrared triggers guarded openings that looked like exits on the map. Together, they formed depth kill zones. Any correction pushed the enemy into another mistake. There were deliberately safe corridors, narrow lanes left unmarked to force a choice. After the first blast, the instinct is to dive for the clean path. Frost Hook counted on it. Those lanes converged on mapped choke points, where the odds of multiple vehicles lining up, then blocking each other, were highest. Timing sealed the trap. Many charges used staggered arming windows and different sensitivities. First, to halt the vanguard, next, to punish anyone trying to go around, and last, to hit recovery and rescue. This wasn't a row of explosions. It was a clock built to blow apart the formation's coherence. At first light, the field looked neutral. Low grass, old tire marks, no metallic glints. But every plot had coordinates and purpose. Stay on the road, and pressure would start the sequence. Go off-road, and the seismic nets would take over. Stop, and you'd be pinned under planned crossfire along the axis 0703. The first T-90 crosses the invisible line. The blast lifts the nose and throws the turret 15 meters, 2 vehicles back, instinctive braking. To the right, the driver cuts into the clean lane, exactly where the next mesh closes. 4 minutes later, the tally hits 17 neutralized tanks. On the radios, overlapping voices. On the MSR, broken tracks, track fires, and zigzag blockages that turn speed into static targets. Overhead, Ukrainian operators watch it all live in thermal. Each impact gets a grid and timestamp. Odd arrows mark swerves, bad reverse moves, and side collisions. A recovery vehicle tries to push through, rolls a wheel over a seam in the soil, and disappears into soot. The second act begins without a call. 3 hidden positions light up on the map. T-84 oplots rise from hull down, with engines already spooled and stabilization locked. On the left, 2 platoons cross fire to hit still intact T-90s from the sides. On the right, 1 platoon cuts the escape route. It's a pre-planned pincer. Open 12 to 18-second firing windows and shift before the return. In the first 90 seconds, the oplots destroy 9 more tanks, some with APFSDS at close range, some with gun-launched missiles against locked targets. Duplay armor eats debris and fragments from stray drones. Crews keep tempo. What's left of the enemy armor tries to jump the median. Holes hang up, exposing their skirts. In depth, 10 2S-22 Bodanas fire in cadence. GPS-guided rounds sweep clusters, trying to abandon their hulls, cut rally points behind the ridge, and seal secondary crossings. Anyone ordering a regroup drops off the net. Anyone trying to tow a hit tank becomes a marker for the next shot. The sky turns into a grinder in minutes. AA platforms with Shkval 6 rotary cannons throw up a volume of fire that downs 47 of 53 drones in 4 minutes. The few that get through hit the Oplat's ERA and don't penetrate. The spectrum gets polluted. Bukovel AD throws false satellites. Trajectories wobble. Drones veer into nothing, bellyland, or return without a target. On the ground, RPG-29 teams hunt silhouettes trapped between hollows and ditches. Snipers pick group leaders by their gestures, not their shouts. The stream of retreating men breaks into small knots, without mutual cover. In less time than it took the vanguard to switch on their lights, the column stops existing as a unit. What remains are islands of steel, smoke, and dead radios. In 85 minutes, the North Korean offensive ceases to exist as a coherent force. 42 armored vehicles destroyed, 14 abandoned, more than 230 casualties between dead and prisoners. The MSR is choked with burned hulls, scattered parts, and vehicles immobilized crosswise. In Pyongyang, 36 hours of absolute silence on state media. No victory note. No parade clip. Regional sources report 3 generals placed under internal investigation. The first orders reaching the forward sector are administrative. Tally losses, consolidate survivors, halt the rotation scheduled for the following morning. On the ground, the ring closes from below. Ukrainian airborne reconnaissance troops, inserted earlier through Soviet-era tunnels, surface in the enemy rear, cut escape trails, and seize secondary junctions without a warning shot. The encirclement is completed with quick ID checks, prisoner collection, and tagging of sensitive material for engineering teams. In a charred command vehicle, combat medics find a severely wounded officer. Technical triage confirms what matters. Orders of battle for the next 72 hours, covering 4 regiments. Intended axes, logistics resupply windows, fire priorities, and personnel rosters. That image became a shortcut to what technology can't explain. Drones, sensors, mine grids, and firing windows decide battles. On that stretch of road, the choice was clear. Victory was built on graph paper: strategy, patience, engineering, and precision. The prepared ground dictated the geometry. The oplot pincer exploited the moment. Guided artillery sealed the exits. Electronic warfare cleared the sky. Discipline and networks beat mass and speed. For anyone watching from the outside, the lesson is straightforward. Modern superiority is born of integration. From terrain to munition, from sensor to command, from timing to character. These lines will end up in manuals, yes, but first they become habit. Prepare the ground, buy time, choose the moment, finish without losing your soul. And if you want to see how this logic repeats when a Russian brigade is caught in the open and the answer comes in steel, the companion analysis is ready. Russian brigade caught in the open. Then the Abrams opened fire. It's the natural follow-up to this study. The tactical replay is on the card on your screen.